924 here, Big 550 KTRS. Jane Duker, John Deal, and Tony Messenger. Who wants to take Uber and their story this week? Who wants to take that one? John?
Yeah, I'll start with it. One, I think it's encouraging that we're making some progress on getting these more technologically advanced companies into this region and market. I mean, it's clearly a trend which is going on across the country. And it's a disruptive business model, which I understand always makes the current holders of the businesses nervous, but that's what innovation is about. That's how the country and this economy grows. So this week, I believe the St. Louis County Taxi Cab Commission authorized what was, I think it's called Uber's Black service, which essentially is a limousine type of service or a high-end taxi service to enter into this market and start laying out a path for it. Now, there's some indication that they were going to try to put a price minimum of $25 onto that service, which I think would be problematic. We should let the market play out what they want to charge, and if they meet the qualifications, they meet the qualifications. But that still leaves an open question as to what happens to Lyft and then Uber's ride-sharing program, which is the one where people can sign on to an app and find someone who has their Chevy Malibu or whatever that is willing to give some folks a ride around town and charge a fee for that. And I think there's still some, that we need to make progress on that, but I think there are some concerns, particularly in the insurance sector on that. If you think about it from an insurance standpoint, if my car is insured, it's not insured for business purposes. It's insured for personal purposes and driving around. So the minute I start using that car to drive somebody for commercial purposes, nobody may be insured in that entire scenario, which is not good for the passenger in that car in the event something would happen. So I think those are issues, the insurance issues, and they can be worked through. They've been worked through in other states, but not in this state yet. And I hope we get to the point where these two companies can come in and then do business in this state.
I understand it's a different world, and that Uber is kind of like a taxi, but it's kind of like somebody picking you up on the side of the road hitchhiking. And if I'm hitchhiking across country and somebody picks me up and they get into an accident, am I not covered by the insurance?
You may not be, and that's what John's referring to.
Well, hitchhiking, yes, because you're not doing it for commercial purpose, and that's not your intent. But when you are when you sign on to that app, okay, and you are using your vehicle for a commercial purpose, you may no longer, and probably are no longer, insurance companies, I think successfully across the country, are denying coverage for this because there's a commercial use exclusion in your personal driver's policy.
So
now that can be fixed. I mean, Lyft and Uber can set up insurance products or liability indemnifications on those types of things, but that just hasn't been done in this state yet.
Right, and I think that's a very valid concern. I mean, if they're going to be, driving around picking up people for money, they need to be insured. I mean, that's a basic regulation.
But that's not what's being said. What's being said is you're not allowed to come in. It's not like, hey, show me you have insurance and we'll start your business tomorrow.
I think that's what they're trying to do, though. I think they are trying to set up the rules, the basics. And, obviously, I think people need to look closely to see if the rules are solely for limiting competition or solely for safety. And I don't think that requiring the drivers to have adequate insurance, that if they hurt a passenger, is an unreasonable rule. If you're carrying people for money, you need to carry insurance. I mean, and I think the normal person picking up a cab or an Uber or a Lyft would expect that if there was an accident that's caused by their driver or whatever, that there would be insurance to cover damages.
Tony Messer.
It's important here to separate also a little bit, as we did on the editorial page this morning at stltoday.com.
Plug.
Yeah, Uber and Lyft and how they dealt with the market. Lyft basically said, "Oh no, we nobody can regulate us. We're coming in. We're doing what we want. Screw you guys." And right now, the court has said, "No, screw you. Their next court hearing is next year." Whereas Uber at least said, "Okay,
Tell us
work
the
with the
rules.
regulators. Let's figure out a problem. It's been slow as government can be sometimes, but you have a company trying to enter the market, and you now have, after some initial stubbornness on the taxi commission's part and some push by the mayor to get some new people on there, you now have the regulators saying, okay, we've got to grow up a little bit. We can both protect our existing businesses while allowing a new competitor in the market. It's not a done deal yet, and it's only the Uber Black so far and not the Uber X, but it's a step in the right direction. It's opening up the market, and this has happened in cities all over the country. And the model here is for the regulators to sort of catch up with the new businesses, and the new businesses to recognize there's a reason why those regulators are there. It's to protect consumers. So let's try to find a compromise and work together.
But it doesn't really show that when they're thinking about putting a $25 minimum.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen.
Well, but that's what the regulators are talking about. So that's not a good faith effort to, hey, let's make sure the riders are safe by guaranteeing a minimum $25 charge.
I think that was a bad faith effort by some members of the taxi commission that is not going to end up being part of the law.
All right. Anything else?
No.
Tony Messenger's that's the last message on that one. He's editorial page editor of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and you can see that at stltoday.com. Plug. Attorney Jane Duker and House Majority Leader, soon-to-be Speaker of the House, John Deal. Board meeting continues in the Big 550.